So, Matcha. You've definitely heard of this artist before. You've definitely seen her art around. She is very well known for her abstract full compositions and her painterly rendering, and lots of hair, and of course her color usage. And I've been obsessed with her art for a few years now, so I've wanted to study it. I have an issue though. I've seen people who study other artists' art styles and art in general, and they copy it, which makes sense. But I can't do that, so I will use my own style, obviously. But instead, I'll be studying the way that she renders her art. She only has one speed paint really available. There are like 2 other videos that kinda show her process, but there's only one that shows everything, and it goes really fast, so I had to watch it on 0.25 speed just to be able to see the different stages of her illustration. So I screenshotted them so that I had a reference for it later and went to work with that. I drew this one illustration a few days back, this one sketch better saying, and I've been obsessed ever since then with this concept. I made this first concept right here. I thought of fixing it up digitally, but I knew I could do better, so I came up with this second one. That's a lot cooler with perspective. So I needed to make myself a rose brush, and you all know how that's like, right? Always very easy to make brushes in general, but in Krita it's even more so easy, oh my god. Anyways, I did that really quick, and then I can get into the illustration. So, I fixed up the concept a bit because it was looking a bit wonky, of course. I drew it at an angle in my sketchbook, so obviously it would have turned out a bit odd. I didn't do the crazy right things for the perspective because I like it a bit wonky. I like it when it looks like it was drawn by hand. I don't know what kind of way to explain that would be. I don't like it when it's just too right. I like it a bit odd that you can see someone drew this. I did not make the line art all that detailed since I'd paint over it later on, so I just did a quick fix up and what you would consider line art, even though it wouldn't actually be that. You know, the usual drill. I just did a sketch and decided to use that as line art. I was very excited to draw this because I love myself a big poofy haired girl. I love it with waves and textures. Making hair, rendering it, shading it, absolutely horrible. But I love it as well. I love that look. And I really wanted that. Ever since I drew Delina, this character that you see right here, which is my singer OC, right? Selena's secret career, which isn't also secret anymore. Ever since I drew this rosy version, I've been obsessed with it and decided to draw it again, but this time as a full illustration. After I finished the line art, I added the roses with my brush that I forgot to record. What I did was, I paint the roses with my rose brush, then transform it into the place I wanted them to be. I didn't actually try to be all that precise with it since I knew that I could fix it up later as I was rendering and painting over the whole illustration. I tried separating the base colors like artists usually do, but I don't know what for. Because later on, I would just paint over it on another layer and didn't actually make use of the separation of the base layers. But I separated the colors from the hair, from the skin. Wait, what? The clothes? Hair? Skin? Did I say that right? I don't know. Then I put in the background because I needed to know what I was actually going for. I went with the vision I had in my head, which is kind of a photo shoot sort of deal. So it's those rooms that are completely white, but in this case it's completely dark with some rose color peeking through. I merged all of the base color layers, duplicated them, separated, and alpha locked it to add a multiply layer on top. So after I merged it all together, I Ctrl Z'd my way all the way back so that I had the separate layers again. I alpha locked it and colored it in a desaturated purple because Matcha tends to use that, it seems. Obviously it depends on the ambient light, but what I've seen her use in her speed paint, or better saying her time lapse, is just the saturated purple, so I went with that because you know, right? I love myself purple. So I carved out the lights after that because that's what she does, and adds obviously a lot to the illustration, really gives life to it. It adds drama and interest. And after that, I added overlay layers to add colors. Until here, we basically have the same process, now that I think about it. I also do the same thing, except I do everything on one layer. I don't know if Matcha does it too, but that's what I usually do. I wouldn't doubt that she also does it. And then multiply in purple and add overlay layers to add a bunch of crazy colors, and then you can be happy and woohoo your way into illustrating. I don't know. After you got that, or better saying I got that, are you participating in this? I don't know if you are. After I did all of that, right, I basically did my usual thing. So then I started rendering on top, which is overpainting. Yay! So what I've noticed that she does is very clean rendered faces, and the top part of the hair that like frames her face, so that part, which is the focus point, she renders that a lot, makes it very clean and sharp and precise. And then as she starts moving out from the painting, like zooming out of the focus point, she adds less detail and a bit more painterly. So I tried doing that as well. For the face, I tried doing the thing that she does, which is add like very blushy and live skin. Her skin just looks very alive and bright and saturated, so I tried going for that. I used the automatic matching colors that Krita gives you that are below the triangle wheel. A very weird one. It's weird not seeing a square still, but I got used to it, I guess. Anyways, it's beneath the color wheel, okay? Those little squares there. I use those because it chooses colors that automatically match. Of course, I kept in mind that I was going to have cooler lighting coming from the left and warmer lighting coming from the right. So the shading on the left side would be a lot cooler than the one on the right, and added there brighter, warmer colors. Yay! She does add a lot of these like little strands around the face, and I think that that's very cool. So I tried doing that as well. And as I moved out, I tried fixing up the hair a bit because the color was just looking too pink, and in the end I actually didn't get it right still. I wanted it to be brown and pink, but it just looks pink. So as I moved out, I tried adding bigger paints and then fixing stuff up as I went, just so that I wouldn't get lost in details. I tried first panning out the big parts and then detailing it, which when you say it out loud it makes a lot of sense, but as you are in the process of actually painting, it's very easy to get lost in details. So as I moved out, I added less definition to things and left it a bit more painterly. And so to try and imitate the illusion of detail, I added textured brushes, which Matcha uses as well, except that in her case it actually is detailed. Mine is just me trying to cut out any amount of work that I need just so that I can get things done quickly. Another thing is that Matcha has very sharp outlines. So I tried doing that. I painted stuff, then I rendered it a bit, fixed it up, and then added outline to it. And I tried being as precise as I could and not control Zing all the time. So that was very cool. I don't know if this brush pack is included in Krita or if I downloaded this, but it's a paint pack and the brushes there are really great. So I used those paint brushes. Very cool, very nice. Another thing that I tried keeping in mind is that if I liked something, the way it looked, I should not try and define it and change it. And I had to be really conscious about it because I have a tendency to go in and erase all the things that I like because I'm like, oh, look at this thing. How about I change it and dislike it? I don't know why I do that. I'm like, oh, this thing right here that I like? Yeah, how about I go change that? Because why wouldn't I, right? It's not detailed. Oh, why would I keep it that way? Anyways, I tried being conscious of that, not do that. And then it went back and forth of me painting here and there and adding lots of colors. I tried keeping in mind, Matcha uses usually one main color and a complementary one. In this case, I used pink and complemented it with a bit of blue. Just because it looks good, right? But the main color is pink in this, so I tried keeping that in mind. Also, her concepts are usually very full, so I tried adding a bunch of roses. In the end, I do add like some petals here and there and try changing the rose up a bit, even though I knew that I wanted them to be like very round and cute. So I didn't change it all that much, but I wanted it to still have some movement. Another way that I gave an illusion to movement is adding textures on top that are like dust particles or some petals, you could think they are as well in the distance. And then adding motion blur to it in the direction that I wanted the things to go, to flow in. Also in this illustration, I didn't mention it, I totally forgot. Going way back to the beginning, after I finished the sketch, I have a brush in Krita that is the golden ratio formula. It's this formula right here that people use to make concepts to add an interesting flow to their illustration. I know it's very useful when you make a concept and want to check if it works. So I did that for this, and I think it looks good. It's a bit off, but not in a way that it takes away from the illustration. So going back to where we were, right? After I spent my whole life rendering the hair, which was a pain in the ass to do. I don't know why. I love hair. But my god, why do I hate myself? Is that why I do this to me? Is that why I add this much hair? I don't know why I do this to myself, but my god. It was difficult, but worth it. Kinda. I didn't get the colors right really, but it looks good. So after I rendered the hair, right, going back to what I was saying, I had to do the thing, right, that I had my concept, which is the rose sweater. So using my rose brush, I went in and did a layer on top in grayscale and started hammering all of those roses together and trying to get it into a concise and singular pattern, and start erasing certain parts of the sweater. For example, the roses on her torso had to be different from the ones on her sleeves, and the one on the rest of her torso up on her chest, and you know, you get it. So after I do that, I have to go on top of that and overpaint it to add the illusion that it is protruding outside the lines that I made, just so that it adds the effect of 3D to it. That was complicated. I need to mess around a bit still with this rose brush and make it a bit more concise and better, and so that it works the way I want it to, because right now it's working in my favor, but not really that much. Kind of working against me, not gonna lie. So after suffering with the hair, with the roses, and with more roses. I was pretty much done. And then I went and looked at it side by side, made a little collage on my phone of my illustration together with Matcha's, and I was like, huh, looks nothing alike. Yes, exactly. I made you watch this whole video just for me to say, I failed. I did not get it right. The idea is there, but I think there's still something missing. I will have to watch some videos from other people studying it. I did watch one other video of another person who studied her art just to see it. Maybe I should copy their art styles, I don't know. You could tell me if you've reached this far. Should I copy the artist's art style? Because I feel bad doing that, honestly. I don't think I'm capable of doing that. But I will, if you want me to. And if you convince me that it's okay. Of course, I will credit the person and everything. You will find Matcha's links. Well, link. She got Twitter. Down below. I don't know if... Honestly, this doesn't change much. I'm no one to promote her art. But it's there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I kind of want to study other artists' art styles, or better saying, the rendering styles more often. Maybe specific artists, or maybe not specific artists, and more so a general thing I've noticed going around. I don't know. Let's see how things will turn out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm happy with the result either way. I don't know if it looks any different from, let's say, this illustration. It looks like my usual rendering style. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I mean, sure, of course there is. Look at myself. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a nice day and night, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!